Hi, I'm Amanda, and I'm a quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioner. That's QHHT for short. And this video is going to be all about thoughts and advice, tips on if you're thinking about becoming a QHHT practitioner. So this video isn't going to be about exactly what QHHT is. I'm not really going to explain the technique, what to expect out of it, anything like that, because I'm just going to assume that if you're watching this video, you probably already know what QHHT is. And hopefully you're thinking about becoming a practitioner, or you're considering pursuing maybe something sort of similar. So first of all, this video isn't sponsored at all. I assure you, I'm simply speaking from my own thoughts and perspective because these are things that I think would have been really helpful for me to know or to think through when I was first deciding on getting my training. My own personal journey, just for a little background on myself, is that I actually started out as a holistic life coach. So that's what I was doing before I started practicing QHHT. And I didn't know anything about Dolores Cannon. I had always been interested and drawn to past life regression. It was just always a fascination of mine, but I didn't know anything about Dolores. I'd never read any of her books. I'd never, watched YouTube videos about her or anything, but I just knew, like, the moment I saw a practitioner describing her session on their website and realized that it was something that I could get trained in, I just intuitively knew that that was it. I didn't need to know who Dolores was. And of course, naturally, as I read more about her and about the books that she had written, the things that she discovered, the alignment just got stronger and stronger, and I knew, oh my goodness, this is what I've always been meant to do. I knew that, but it started out with just a feeling, and it's really all about following that feeling. And so many practitioners have come into QHHT from so many different places. A lot of people do already know a ton about Dolores. A lot of people had been following her for years before they decided to get trained. Others, just like me, come from other modalities, Reiki, yoga teachers, energy channelers, mediums, or nothing at all. And, we find it through other ways. And one way or another, if the path feels aligned for you, then it's your path, it's your journey to take. So that kind of leads into my first tip. If you're thinking about becoming a practitioner, this is something that you're seriously considering, the first thing I always tell everyone to do is to do an intuition check. This is essentially asking your higher self, yes or no, is this right for me? And if you're really deeply tuned in with your intuition, if you're really deeply tuned in to your higher self, this is like almost as simple as asking yes or no, should I go for this? If you're not quite as practiced at, checking in with your higher self, or you're just not totally sure whether or not you should do it, just really sit for a moment, get into kind of a meditative state, allow yourself to be calm and relaxed in a quiet space with no distractions, and just sit and close your eyes and pay attention to the feeling inside. Really look at that feeling. And, there might be like a mixture of feelings in you. There might be like a feeling that says, yes, you should go for it. And then another feeling that says, oh, but, XYZ. There's always a bunch of buts, right? But really pay attention to that and figure out like what is coming from your true intuition and what's coming from your fear, what's coming from your doubt, what's coming from those other critical voices that might just be coming up with reasons as to why you can't do it. And then think about what's also coming from a place of rationality. I'm not saying that the voices saying no are purely fear and doubt. There might be some rational voices too. The voices might be saying yes, but not now, or yes, but wait until you're, in a better position, in XYZ circumstances. So there might be some like rational, logical voices speaking as well, but just take a moment to really tune in and do that intuition check. And, it sounds simple, but it really is like the most powerful way of figuring out, is this something that I should be exploring? Is it something that I should be exploring now or later, right? And just remember, it could just be a step in your journey too. You don't have to figure out whether or not QHHT is going to be your eventual life journey. It could be, and it is for a lot of people, but it could also be a stepping stone for you that leads you into the next thing that brings you even closer to what you will want to be doing eventually. Maybe there are powerful lessons for you to learn in taking a training course. Maybe, there's something else that you needed to find through this journey. Or it could be that you're meant to be a practitioner for the rest of your life. And a lot of people do that. And I can tell you it's a really fulfilling and rewarding experience if that is what you choose to do. So think about it that way. Don't think about this decision as, needing to be like the be-all, end-all decision of your career. So just give yourself a little bit of breathing room that way. My second tip is to discard any beliefs that you have about what you can or can't do, or about what hypnosis, hypnotherapy is or isn't. Because first of all, QHHT is totally a different technique than any other hypnosis or hypnotherapy technique out there. Dolores developed it completely herself from scratch, and it's a different induction style. So even if you are a hypnotherapist already, even if you already know other hypnosis techniques, this one's going to be different. So discard any beliefs or expectations that you have around that, and sort of on the same token, discard any beliefs that you have to already know how to hypnotize people, or that you have to already know how to channel energy, how to be a medium, how to do any sort of like healing energetic work. None of that is really important at the beginning. If you are just following your journey, you're just following your own path, you don't have to be like anyone else. And a lot of people do come into this practice without knowing any other forms of energy work or healing or anything like that. There are certain things that will like lend themselves to different parts of the practice. Like I came from a life coaching background, so for me, talking to people already came pretty naturally for me. So there's certain skills that translate, but if you come in from a completely different background, that's totally fine too. All of these things can be learned, and that's what all the training and practice is for. So just remember, we are all innately born with abilities. We're all actually capable of energy channeling. We're all actually capable of tapping into these higher sources and speaking to our higher selves, and unlocking these abilities for other people as well. We're all born with it. It's just a matter of believing that we can unlock them, and then taking the steps that we need to take in order to actually unlock them. And that's what the first step in your QHHT journey will be, just simply believing in yourself and signing up for the training. So that's my second tip. The third tip is to book a QHHT session for yourself. I'm in the Los Angeles area, so as of today, recording this video, I'm in the Los Angeles area, so you can book a session with me, or you can book a session with any awesome practitioner you find in the QHHT directory. I swear, again, this is not sponsored. I'm not just shamelessly plugging booking sessions. I genuinely think that this is a really helpful step in you deciding whether or not you want to do this. And if you haven't done so already, book a session with a practitioner so that one, you can see what it's really like, and find out how you really feel about the session, and try to imagine yourself from the practitioner side as well. Try to think about like, is this something that I feel like I can do, or that I would be joyful doing? And then the other thing is you have someone right there that you can talk to about it. And I love when my clients come in and tell me that they're interested in becoming practitioners. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. So I guarantee you, any QHHT practitioner that you do a session with will love to talk to you about, you potentially starting your journey. And whether you end up doing it or not, they will have a lot of really helpful things to say. My fourth tip, so at this point, I'm just going to assume, maybe you've kind of made a decision and maybe you decide that you want to go for it. So my fourth tip is, if you're trying to decide if you want to do your level 1 course online versus in person, I'm just going to tell you that both of them are amazing. And maybe that's helpful, maybe that's not helpful, but I personally did my level 1 course online, and I loved it because I got to do it at my own pace. And I got to learn directly from Dolores, which is really cool. So I highly recommend being online. I've also been in person with other practitioners, and when you're at those events, like, you'll also get the opportunity to have FaceTime. So I can also say that being in person with other practitioners is an amazing, incredibly powerful experience. So I really think that you can't go wrong either way if you decide to do your courses virtually or online. I actually did both level 1 and level 2 online, and they were both great. But I'm also really grateful that I've had opportunities to meet other practitioners in person, because like I said, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like being in a physical room with energy of that magnitude. It is literally life-changing. So I recommend either. Whatever option suits your budget, suits your timing, suits your lifestyle, suits your needs. Go for it, if that feels aligned. My fifth tip, and I'm almost done, I have 6 tips total, but my 5th tip is that you really can't expect every session to be like Dolores Cannon's sessions, or even like the sessions that you see on YouTube. Every client is super, super different. And I will tell you also, these days, and this goes, any QHHT practitioner you talk to will tell you the same thing. These days, we humans tend to not lose our awareness when we're in that hypnotic state anymore. So when clients go under and they go into that state of trance that we bring them to in QHHT, they are still aware during the session, and there's no longer this mystical affective amnesia. It happens rarely, but rarely is there this amnesia where the client wakes up and doesn't remember anything. And things these days are different just because human consciousness has evolved, and it's evolved to the point where we are capable of staying aware in that state and being aware when we are speaking to our higher selves. We're just that much more closely connected now, and as a result, sessions are a little different too. So it kind of just becomes a slightly different experience where instead of feeling like the client is talking to this really mysterious source that is their higher self, they're actually talking to this really familiar voice that is their higher self, and they are actively learning how to access that voice at any time during their regular day-to-day lives. So it's just a little different now, and like I said, every client is really different too. Like some clients will experience a little more amnesia, some clients will be totally aware and paying attention the whole time, and it really does just come down to being present for the experience and allowing whatever is going to happen, and understanding that everything has a lesson, everything is happening exactly as it's meant to be, and sometimes you just have to look for that lesson. You have to look for that understanding, and be accepting of what's coming. Okay, and my very last tip is to just practice, practice, practice. If you think about the very first time you learned how to ride a bike, or anytime you've learned something new, you're rarely 100% amazing, perfect at it the very first time, right? And it's going to be that way too. And that's not a bad thing. There's a lot of beauty in the journey, right? There's a lot of fun and excitement and joy that comes out of learning these lessons. Sometimes it might be a little frustrating too. Sometimes there might be a little bit of self-doubt. Just remember that this is all very normal, and it's also just a part of the process. And if you happen to have a challenging session where things maybe didn't go quite the way that you wanted them to go or expected them to go, just remember that everything's a lesson. There's something to be learned from every situation. There is actually no such thing as a failed session. And I've personally learned that lesson many times, and I've been told that lesson by the SC many times. It's just a matter of your perspective and how you choose to see the situation. But everything is actually a lesson, and it will help you, and it will make you better and make you more prepared for similar situations in the future. So don't give up on yourself. Practice, practice, practice. Keep practicing, and you are going to get there. You're going to be amazing. If you are on your path, if this is, a step in the journey that is meant for you, then you are exactly where you're meant to be. So that's all I've got for this video. I feel like there are a million other things that I could say about this, but this was my quick 6-tip summary. If you're a QHHT practitioner and you're watching this and you've got more thoughts, ideas, and tips to add, I'd love to hear it below in the comments. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I hope that this video was helpful.